First contact with Joshua Put.
Hello and welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here today. It is Wednesday, the 25th of October. Of course, that's on the Gregorian calendar. The Jewish calendar, the date's a little bit different. Today is the 5th day of Cheshvan. Last month, Tishri was the beginning of the new calendrical year. Not the year where the calendar starts, but the new year, starting with the celebration of Adam and Eve and then going through the rest of this month. So this would be technically the second month after the year has begun, the year 5778, which began at the beginning of Tishri. If we look at our planetary aspects for today, we have our sun is in Scorpio, just shy over. Today it's at 2 degrees. Yesterday it was 1, so you can kind of see the pacing that we're going through. It's going to go through a degree a day. Our moon sign has progressed. It was in Sagittarius. Now it's over in Capricorn, where it will be for the rest of today, tomorrow, and by the end of the next day, into the next day, it'll be moving over into the next sign. So it stays roughly about 2.5 days per sign as it's going along. And the cast of characters, just so we're aware of them that are in play right now. Of course, Scorpio, represented in the tarot by the tarot card of death. Just simply about transformation. It's not about a physical death. It's about an emotional release, an emotional death that occurs when we let go of all of the things that are holding us physically. Okay? It's not a physical, it's an emotional. And this is our moon sign for today. This is the tarot card of the devil. The devil, of course, is the being or character that we've set up as the tester, to test us to see if we want something. Maybe not necessarily evil, but perhaps wanting to offer us anything that we want. And if we want to take it, then it's up to us to decide. And if we choose not to take it, maybe this character doesn't care. But the whole secret to the character here is at the top of the head. You've got the upside down pentagram. It simply represents energy flowing in through the backside first, as opposed to the crown chakra. It's hitting the lower chakra. Of course, that lower chakra is the one that's most rooted to earth. So if we're taking in the energies that are flowing into us through that root chakra first, then the things that we're going to be engaged with are going to be influenced and colored first and foremost by that physicalized energy, that physicalized idea of things, as opposed to the spiritual idea. Okay, so that is the big difference. And once we have that realization, there's no longer two characters chained to the block of ignorance. So the way this plays out for us, Capricorn being an earth sign, it tells us that as the moon is in Capricorn, we need to pay attention to our unconscious desires, the things that we want to create in the physical world. However, we need to look clearly at them so we're not caught up in some sort of an illusion about what we think we want. We need to just be a little bit more aware and pay attention to our true inner nature, what it's asking us. We can tell the difference between right and wrong. We all have that ability within us, but we get caught up in illusions all the time. The illusion being that the physical world is the be-all, end-all of everything. And when we think that's the case, we deal with the monsters of the physical world because we don't ever believe there's something beyond that that could take out and, stop those monsters. That's what heroes are for. That's what all of our mythology's for. That's what our understandings of these higher aspirations are for. Okay, so there you go. That gives us the idea of the energy we're moving around in today, the month, water, Scorpio, today and tomorrow, the moon sign, our unconscious desires, the physical world. But our desire and our need is to look past the illusion of things that are going on around us. Okay, look past the illusion. There's things deeper beneath the surface. We just don't want to get caught up at the physical. We want to look deeper. All right, as we move forward here, how'd you like that poster at the beginning? Let me show you again. You like this? Wanted for treason, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Isn't that nice? Well, the breaking news that has been hitting has been all about this scandal that is unfolding around Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. They put forth all of their effort to accuse Donald Trump of being in bed with the Russians, including with the Russians. They put together this story and pushed the story of this P-gate that they call it, that happened out there in Russia, and this GPS fusion story that was getting around. And they pushed these things and pushed it, and it's all turned out that the DNC was the one engaged in these activities. It wasn't Donald Trump. It wasn't the RNC. It was the DNC. Hillary Clinton, Obama, a sitting president, was engaged in treasonous activities against his own country. We knew that. That's no surprise about Obama. We've known that for a long while, that the man is a traitor. So let's take a look at some of these articles here that are necessary to understand the story. This is from The Hill. The House GOP leaders open probe into FBI Clinton investigation. The chairman of the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees announced on Tuesday a joint investigation into how the Justice Department handled last year's investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server. Decisions made by the Department of Justice in 2016 have led to a host of outstanding questions that must be answered. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte of Virginia and House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy, South Carolina, said in a joint statement. The two Republican leaders said they have questions about the FBI's decision to openly declare the Bureau's investigation into Clinton's handling of classified information while quietly investigating Trump campaign associations. They are also interested to know why the FBI decided to formally notify Congress of the probe on two separate occasions, while the FBI rather than the Justice Department recommended that Clinton not be charged after the investigation concluded, and the reasoning behind their timeline for announcing such decisions. The committees will review these decisions and others to better understand the reasoning behind how certain conclusions were drawn. Congress has a constitutional duty to preserve the integrity of our justice system by ensuring transparency and accountability of actions taken, their statement continued. Then FBI Director James Comey has come under scrutiny for the decisions he made regarding the email investigation. Comey disclosed during the June testimony before the Senate Intelligence Committee that the Attorney General Loretta Lynch had urged him to describe the Clinton email probe as a matter rather than an investigation. The ousted FBI chief said her request gave him a queasy feeling because it matched how the Clinton campaign was talking about how the FBI was doing its work. It's another article on the same topic here from the Associated Press. House GOP announced probe of Obama's Justice Department. The Republican chairman of two House committees announced Tuesday we're opening an investigation into the actions of the Obama administration Justice Department during the last year presidential election. The chairman said in a statement Tuesday that they have several questions, including why then FBI Director James Comey decided to publicly announce the investigation into Hillary Clinton's handling of classified information, but not to publicly announce the investigation into Donald Trump's campaign associates. Okay, so same thing, same information. Here we have one of the gentlemen involved with it, Congressman Bob Goodlatte. And this is a statement today, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte of Virginia and the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy released the following statement after opening a joint investigation into decisions made by the Department of Justice in 2016. Our justice system is represented by a blindfolded woman holding a set of scales. Those scales do not tip to the right or to the left. They do not recognize wealth, power, or social status. The impartiality of our justice system is the bedrock of our republic, and our fellow citizens must have confidence in its objectivity, independence, and even-handedness. The law is the most equalizing force in this country. No entity or individual is exempt from oversight. Decisions made by the Department of Justice in 2016 have led to a host of outstanding questions that must be answered that include but not are limited to the FBI decision to publicly announce the investigation into Hillary Clinton's handling of classified information but not publicly announced the investigation into the campaign associates of then-candidate Donald Trump. The FBI's decision to notify Congress by formal letter of the status of the investigation both in October and November 2016. The FBI decision to appropriate full decision-making in respect to charging or not charging Secretary Clinton to the FBI rather than the DOJ, and the FBI timeline in respect to charging decisions. And one more here in this regard. Here's Trey Gowdy's page. Representative Gowdy to Martha MacCallum, what we want is the documents. Last night, Representative Gowdy joined Martha MacCallum to discuss the House Intelligence Committee issuing subpoenas to the FBI and the Department of Justice. In regards to the Steele dossier, he said, I would think everyone would want to know, did our premier law enforcement agency, the FBI, rely on this document to initiate a criminal probe or in court filings or in representations before a court? That is an eminently legitimate question, and I really don't know why it's taken so long for the department to answer this. The other thing on James Comey, he said there is a basis for which to question Director Comey on whether or not he reached a conclusion with respect to Hillary Clinton before he interviewed all of the witnesses. There is more to an evidentiary basis than he reached the conclusion before he interviewed her. It is not illegitimate to ask a law enforcement officer, did you make your mind up before the end of the investigation? So very important questions. They will find the answers to them, hopefully. Hopefully this isn't just a sit-down session where they're going to ask them questions. Hopefully they'll actually take action once they understand that these crimes have been committed. Now, this entire situation that's taking place is based on some lies. One of the lies is this document by GPS Fusion. Here's an article about this. Clinton campaign, DNC paid for research that led to Russia dossier. This is the breaking news coming out right now. Christopher Steele, this is who he is, former British intelligence officer, pictured in London, March 7, 2017, compiled the dossier on President Trump's alleged ties to Russia, all of which we now know are fake. The Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee help fund research that resulted in a now famous dossier containing allegations about President Trump's connection to Russia and possible coordination between his campaign and the Kremlin. People familiar with the matter said. Marky Elias, a lawyer representing the Clinton campaign and the DNC, retained Fusion GPS, a Washington firm, to conduct the research. After that, Fusion GPS hired dossier author Christopher Steele, a former British intelligence officer with ties to the FBI and the U.S. intelligence community, according to the people who spoke on the condition of anonymity. Elias and his law firm, Perkins Cole, retained the firm in April 2016 on behalf of the Clinton campaign and the DNC. Prior to that agreement, Fusion GPS research into Trump was funded by a still unknown Republican client during the GOP primary. The Clinton campaign and the DNC, through the law firm, continued to fund Fusion GPS's research through the end of October 16th, days before Election Day. Fusion GPS gave Steele's reports to and other research documents to Elias. The people familiar with the matter said it is unclear how or how much of that information was shared with the campaign and the DNC, and who in the organizations was aware of the roles of Fusion GPS and Steele. One person close to the matter said the campaign and the DNC were not informed of Fusion GPS's role by the law firm. The dossier has become a lightning rod amid intensifying investigations into the Trump campaign possible connection to Russia. Some congressional Republican leaders have spent months trying to discredit Fusion GPS and Steele and try to determine the identity of the Democrat or the organization that paid for it. Trump tweeted as recently as Saturday that the Justice Department FBI should immediately release who paid for it. Elias and Fusion GPS declined to comment on the arrangement. Spokesperson for the Clinton campaign and the DNC made no immediate comment. Some of the details are included in the October 24th letter sent by Perkins Cole to a lawyer representing Fusion GPS, telling the research firm that it was released from a client confidentiality obligation. The letter was prompted by a legal fight over a subpoena for Fusion GPS's bank records. People involved in the matter said that they would not disclose the dollar amounts paid to Fusion GPS, but said that the campaign and the DMC shared the cost. Steele previously worked in Russia for British intelligence. The dossier is a compilation of reports he prepared for Fusion. The dossier alleged that the Russian government collected compromising information about Trump, and the Kremlin was engaged in an active effort to assist his campaign for president. U.S. intelligence agencies later released a public assessment which asserted that Russia intervened in the 2016 election to aid Trump. The FBI has been investigating whether any Trump associates helped the Russians in that effort. Trump has adamantly denied the allegations in the dossier and has dismissed the FBI probe as a witch hunt. Fusion GPS work researching Trump began during the Republican presidential nominee primaries when the GOP donor paid for the firm to investigate the real estate tycoon background. Fusion GPS did not start off looking at Trump's Russia ties, but quickly realized that those relationships were extensive, according to the people familiar with the matter. When the Republican donors stopped paying for the research, Elias, acting on behalf of the Clinton campaign and the DNC, agreed to pay for the work to continue. The Democrats paid for the research, including by Fusion GPS, because of the concerns that little was known about Trump and his business interests, according to the people familiar with the matter. These people said that it was the standard practice for political campaigns to use law firms to hire outside researchers in order to ensure their work is protected by attorney, client, and work product privileges. The Clinton campaign paid Perkins Coie $5.6 million in legal fees from June 2015 to June 2016, according to campaign finance records, and the DNC paid the firm $3.6 million in legal and compliance consulting since November 2015. Though it's impossible to tell from the filings how much of the work was for other legal matters and how much of it related to Fusion GPS. At no point these people said did the Clinton campaign or the DNC direct Steele's activities. They described him as a Fusion GPS subcontractor. Some of Steele's allegations began circulating in Washington in the summer of 2016 as the FBI launched its counterintelligence investigation into possible connections between Trump associates and the Kremlin. Around that time, Steele shared some of his findings with the FBI. After the election, the FBI agreed to pay Steele to continue gathering intelligence about Trump and Russia, but the Bureau pulled off the arrangement after Steele was publicly identified in the news reports. The dossier was published by BuzzFeed News in January. Fusion GPS said in court filings that it did not give BuzzFeed the document. Officials said the FBI has confirmed some of the information in the dossier. Others, including the most sensational accusations, have yet to be verified and may never be. Current and former U.S. intelligence officials say Steele was respected by the FBI and the State Department for earlier work he performed on a global corruption probe. In early January, then FBI Director James Comey presented a two-page summary of Steele's dossier to President Barack Obama and President-elect Trump. In May, Trump fired Comey, which led to the appointment of Robert S. Mueller III, a special counsel investigating the Trump-Russia matter. Congressional Republicans have tried to force Fusion GPS to identify the Democrat or group behind Steele's work, but the firm said it would not do so, citing confidentiality agreements working with its clients. Last week, Fusion GPS executives invoked their constitutional right not to answer the questions from the House Intelligence Committee. The firm's founder, Glenn Simpson, had previously given a 10-hour interview to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Over objections from Democrats, the Republicans' leader of the House Intelligence Committee, Representative Devin Nunes, subpoenaed Fusion GPS bank records in order to try to identify the mystery client. Fusion GPS has been fighting release of its bank records. The judge in this case could issue a decision early as Tuesday. Okay, so lots of collusion, corruption, of course, all of it taking place on the side of Hillary Clinton. Okay, so this dossier was created, paid for by the DNC and a mystery RNC member. Well, let's just guess that maybe it might be McCain, since we do know that he admitted that he was involved with it. So the DNC paid for this, and it was fake. and it was intended to make Trump look bad. And based on this fake document, an entire investigation has been launched. And they're looking into Trump based on this document, which is false. But through the process of all of this, it has ensnared all of those who are trying to ensnare Trump, because they are actually the real criminals and not President Trump. Let me continue on because I have a bunch more to get to. Here is, well, just want to leave this link to you. This is a very good summary of what's going on between the connection of the Podesta brothers, Manafort, and the Russians, and basically how Manafort was working on behalf of the Russians in interests, how that he had been connected with the Podesta group, and how through their relationship and connections, how all of them became entangled in this deception that was going on. Okay, it was not with Trump, it was with Manafort, the Podesta group, the DNC, the Russians. These are the characters involved, not the Trump campaign. So this is a great interview there, a great discussion he does. Now, the question is, why don't people come forward sooner? Well, because there's a long list of people who get killed accidentally or suddenly around Hillary Clinton. Russia. A reporter investigating Hillary Clinton links to Russia is found dead. Pulitzer Prize winning Street Journal reporter who asked Russia for information on Hillary was found dead 2 days later. Okay, so this would be why. Wall Street Journal writer reporter Joseph Arago was found dead in his apartment July 20th. He was reportedly investigating Hillary's involvement in the purchase of a Russian drug company, Vermopharm, by Abbott Labs at the time in 2014, when sanctions against Russia would have prevented the sale. Okay, I'll leave the article for you to read. Point being, a person investigating some of the Clinton crimes ends up dead. Okay. Switching gears, we've got the whole PedoGate situation taking place, Pizzagate. Big story that we've heard is Hollywood, the Harvey Weinstein case, all of the people, the women that are coming forward, the men that are coming forward. And over the years, there's been a lot of people wondering when Corey Feldman is going to begin naming names. Well, he's been threatened over the years. He wants to make sure his family is safe, very important to do so. Want to make sure that he's legally protected, but he's being forced to do something. The other day he was arrested on bogus charges after he put out a call to arms to others to begin to release this info. What we have here now is a video, 6 minutes, 57 seconds. It's Corey Feldman's Truth Campaign. He's reaching out to others to tell them that he wants to release this info, but he also wants to protect his family. So he has an idea how to go ahead and satisfy all of those things. Check out the video, see what you think, any way that you think you might be able to help. There is the information so you can do so. We also have this story I just told you, Harvey Weinstein. He had his full week of recovery and now he's back on track. It's a story about Zelda Perkins, worked for Weinstein's assistant in Miramax, London, claims in a new interview with Financial Times that her boss sexually harassed her, assaulted her female colleague, leading them to settlement and strict NDAA. Says dozens of women have come forward in recent weeks with claims against Harvey Weinstein, accusing the veteran film mogul of sexual assault, harassment, misconduct, and rape. Many of their stories carry the same details, from hotel rooms and manipulative behavior to intimidation tactics and aggressive cover-ups, while provoking the same questions: how much did the assistants know? How tightly wound were their non-disclosure agreements? And where are they now? Zelda Perkins, who worked for Weinstein during his tenure running Miramax Films, has just answered 3 in a bombshell of an interview with the Financial Times. In doing so, Perkins became the first former staffer to come forward and publicly denounce the NDA, shedding light on how Weinstein relied on a network of lawyers to help prevent staffers from speaking out about his alleged bad behavior. She also claims there were clauses in her contract that could have led Weinstein's dismissal early, nearly 2 decades ago. Okay, there's a whole lot more to this story, this article. I'm going to leave that for you to read. Bottom line, more witnesses are coming forward, and we'll see how that continues to unfold. Now, there's more in regards to the child porn story, and this time it's connecting into Las Vegas. Here we have a story out of TMZ saying that the Vegas shooter's brother was arrested for child porn. So there's a huge puzzle here that somehow is connected. The brother of Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock has been arrested for child porn, TMZ has learned. Paddock was taken into custody. Bruce Paddock was taken into custody moments ago in North Hollywood, California, at an assisted living home. Law enforcement sources tell us cops were tipped off that there was child porn on his computer, and they got a search warrant. Other sources say the investigation began before the brother Stephen shot up the Vegas Musical Festival earlier this month. Other sources say before the shootings, cops are trying to locate Bruce without success. After his brother committed his heinous act, a tip came in that Bruce was living at an assisted living facility. Cops say they found child porn on his computer. The arrest was made by a joint task force that included FBI and LAPD. Okay, so the plot thickens. The plot thickens. What is the connection to all of that? Don't know, but there is a connection here. Two more quick pieces. Rand Paul and Ron Wyden have introduced a bill to restrict intelligence agent snooping powers. Bipartisan collection of lawmakers from both ends of the political spectrum united on a bill Tuesday to impose severe limits on the intelligence community's ability to spy on foreign targets, saying Americans need more assurances they're not being ensnared. The bill, sponsored by Senators Ron Wyden, Oregon Democrat, and Rand Paul, Kentucky Republican, as well as Republican and Democrats in the House, would force the government to obtain a warrant before searching communications of people in the U.S. under Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Those whose information is going to be used against them would then have to be notified. Okay, Edward Snowden brought a lot of this information to light, so it's good that it's continued to be looked at because Americans don't need to be spied on. Switching gears here real quick to a comment from Archbishop Marcel François Lefebvre. It's a dire warning about Islam. He says, as long as Muslims are an insignificant minority in a Christian country, they can live in peace. But as soon as their numbers multiply, they become aggressive and hostile to European civilization. Examples are abundant. They will transform churches into mosques. They will infiltrate government. When they reach 25 to 30% of the population, we will either have to convert, leave the country, or become their slaves. This is the profound nature of Islam, and it never changes. Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre. So, very important, another warning about Islam we need to know about. So what do we do about all of this? We've got these challenges, these problems. I always like to go back to the belief that this problem has already been looked at by those of a higher authority. Here we have Book of Enoch, chapter 1. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blesseth the elect and the righteous who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all of the wicked and the godless are to be removed. And he took up his parable, and he said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angel showed me. And from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one which was to come concerning the elect. I said, and I took my parable up concerning them. Okay, so the point of this being, God is returning to remove the wicked and the ungodly. Right now, we're seeing a cleansing, a draining of the swamp. We're seeing this exact thing taking place. Those who are evil and evil-minded are being weeded out. So we just need to continue to believe that God is here, good is here, good is working its way through the system, darkness is being removed, and the light is returning. So Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, we just thank you for the blessings of this day. Open our eyes that we may be able to see and appreciate the wonderful changes that are coming our way. Amen. Let's just make life a simple thing, my friends, just appreciating the goodness we have, because there's so much out there, so much goodness, and if we appreciate it, if we appreciate each other, we can fix this world. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and I will talk to you soon. Peace. I am out of here.